The Supreme Allied Commander of World War II once got so angry at Senator Joseph McCarthy that he refused to even say McCarthy's name out loud in meetings. Instead, Dwight Eisenhower would call him things like that fellow, which is about the most Kansas way imaginable to express absolute disgust. Hi, I'm Papa G, and if there's one thing Eisenhower reminds us, it's that quiet people are sometimes carrying far more steel than louder people realize. By the time Eisenhower became president in 1953, he was already one of the most famous men in the world. He had overseen D-Day, managed an alliance full of giant egos like Churchill, Patton, and de Gaulle, helped direct the defeat of Nazi Germany, which meant that when American politicians became theatrical, Eisenhower often looked at them the way a retired firefighter might look at someone panicking over a birthday candle. Now, politically, Eisenhower governed during a surprisingly prosperous and stable period in American history. The interstate highway system began under him, reshaping American life, suburbs, trucking, travel, and commerce. He expanded Social Security, kept much of the New Deal structure intact, and despite being a Republican, he was far more moderate than many modern Americans assume. In fact, Eisenhower once warned that any party trying to abolish Social Security or labor laws would disappear from American politics. That line tends to surprise people today. Now, internationally, Eisenhower faced the growing Cold War with the Soviet Union, nuclear tensions, and the terrifying reality that humanity could now destroy itself several times over before lunch. And this is where Eisenhower gets especially interesting, because unlike some Cold Warriors, Eisenhower had actually seen war up close. Not movie war, not speech war, real war. He had spent years looking at casualty reports and shattered bodies across Europe. He understood what modern industrial warfare actually meant, which helps explain the most famous moment of his presidency. In his farewell address, Eisenhower warned Americans about what he called the military-industrial complex, a former five-star general warning the country that permanent alliances between the military, politicians, and defense industries could become dangerous. That's remarkable. It's a little like hearing a lifelong casino owner quietly warn people about gambling addiction. Now, personally, Eisenhower was disciplined, organized, and emotionally controlled almost to a fault. He golfed constantly, loved simple routines, and projected calm competence. Behind the scenes, he could have quite a temper. Staff members occasionally saw flashes of it, though the public rarely did. And honestly, that restraint may have been part of his strength. Eisenhower understood that not every emotion needs a microphone. So what do we do with Eisenhower? He reminds us that steady leadership can feel boring in the moment and deeply reassuring in retrospect. Americans often celebrate dramatic presidents because dramatic stories are easier to tell. But sometimes the leaders who age the best are the ones who keep the machine running, avoid catastrophe, and leave the country calmer than they found it, which, historically speaking, is rarer than you might think. Next time, we move to a president who looked young, sounded brilliant, and helped create one of the most enduring myths in American political memory. John F. Kennedy is next.